Okay, so maybe you guys both introduce yourselves, say who you are, and
Sure.
we'll take it from there.
Are you Mike?
I am, most of the time.
All right.
Mike Rasmussen from Painted Stave Distilling, one of the owners.
Ron Gomes, Painted Stave Distilling, the other owner.
Look at you guys.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah. It's just a regular conversation. We don't
There
want
you go. Yeah.
to make it as casual as we can because that's pretty much what we do on the show anyway.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like I said, I mean, it's more about meeting people than it is, doing anything else with it.
The more
It's-
comfortable you are, the more you'll be, and that's
Yep.
what we want people to see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
You know, so that when they come in here, they'll feel they know you.
Mhm.
They're comfortable with.
Yeah,
you,
it's not
that's
just
where they wanna
it's
come.
not just a building you're driving by.
Right,
you
right,
know,
right.
It's
Right.
Cool.
regular people in there.
Yep.
So go ahead, off the top.
Okay. What kind of local ingredients go into your process?
Well, a variety of things, really. So we're working with a local farm up in Townsend to grow a number of the botanicals that we use in our gin, with the goal of trying to get, we hope we can get over 80% of the botanicals that we need in our gin to be in there. And then it's also fun to have a local kind of farm who's growing other things. We sit down and talk about, hey, wouldn't it be neat to make this? What are you growing that we could possibly use for that?
Yeah.
And then actually one of the reasons why we picked Smyrna for the location here is access to grains. So the corn whiskey that we just released, our latest product, all that corn comes from Legacy Farms about 2 miles down the street from here.
Oh, nice.
That's really cool.
And in the long run, we hope to be able to, by working with some of the farmers, be able to source the vast majority of our grains, and then fruit and all of those things from here in Delaware.
So that's cool. You can go right through them. You don't have
Yeah.
to work through any
Yeah, absolutely. They
distributor or any kind of
come, they drop it off in their pickup truck. And,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pick up,
Yeah.
So you kind of start with them as to what they have, and then
Yeah.
you figure out what you're going to make.
Yeah, and then there's some things that
It goes both ways.
yeah, there's a little, if we can find something to work with, then chances are you can make booze out of it.
Yeah.
There will be some things that we have to source and be a little bit more specific about. Malted barley is one of those.
Yeah.
But there is a small malt house that's gotten started just up in Pennsylvania that we're working with to source some specialty malts and grains and
nice.
stuff. So trying to keep it as local as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other main ingredient that you neglected was water.
Yeah.
We have wonderful water here in town.
Yep.
And that was also another reason why, another attraction for us here,
Okay.
relative to other places we were looking. So we tested the water, and right out of the spigot here in town, it's pretty good for our needs.
Really?
Yeah.
See, and that's important for everybody to know. Anybody that's
You have good drinking water.
Yeah.
That's
Good enough to make booze.
yeah. If
I also
you're
saw
using that distilling process, it's got to be pretty.
you have, you were recycling the water? I saw on your website.
We recapture, reutilize a lot of our water. The goal there is to be environmentally conscious wherever possible. And so when we rebuilt this facility to allow us to do what we want to do here, we tried wherever we could to pay attention to those things and try to incorporate them into the bill. So our cooling water, for instance, is in a loop. So it's a closed loop.
Okay.
And we use that to condense back the vapor into alcohol. All that water throughout the course of a run of a day could be a lot of water that we could put down the drain. But we have a system that allows us to capture and reutilize it.
That's awesome.
And
That's
so
cool.
we're not putting all that vital resource.
Yeah, I saw the glorious pictures of the barrel installation.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Some of our finer moments of construction right there.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Well, the town's been great. So, the town let us do that, and we told the town that we would make it less of an eyesore. It's a big blue tank.
Yeah.
5,500 gallons.
Put the wood around it.
Yeah.
It looks really
we
nice.
said we would make it, less of an eyesore. So that was our version of less of an eyesore.
Yeah, to me, that looks like a classic thing to add to a building like that. That's character to, a structure like this, especially downtown. You got a lot of foot traffic depending on what's going on.
Yep.
And it's anything that adds character to
Yeah.
an old building like that.
Yeah,
It's-
absolutely.
I'm going through a similar process. I've got a house that's late 1800s, and we're trying to go through the process of restoring that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll just
So now thanks to you guys, you want some big neon signs out in front of his house.
Hey, those were really popular.
Larry's place.
Yeah, well, all the things that we put outside were things we found in our basement. So I'm sure in your basement, you must have a lot of interesting things as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of old, saws and,
Sure.
fire equipment things. I guess the guy that lived there was a fireman at one point in time. So, yeah, it's interesting stuff you find.
Yeah. We, as part of the renovations for an old movie theater like this, we found interesting stuff, weird stuff in the walls.
Oh yeah.
Old soda cans, oil cans, old newspapers, just stuff that, who knows why it got stuck someplace back then. But we're really fortunate that people had thought, far enough, the folks who renovated this when they went from a theater into the plumbing supply store thought ahead enough to make sure that they saved some stuff, like the old neon sign outside, like the wall sconces that we've got up back in the production space. So we had some really cool structural elements to play with when we moved in here.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was a question I had here. Did the city give you any trouble?
No.
That you wanted to put a distillery in here?
No.
I know the city's real picky about everything.
Yeah, our relationship with the city has been fantastic.
Oh, that's cool.
We first kind of started looking in Smyrna, looking for a location, and we're thinking we were going to be outside of town in the industrial park kind of place. It's the easiest kind of thing. And the town really wanted us downtown. They got people together, the economic development committee, prominent people in town. They threw us a little cocktail party and kind of helped us meet people, and really worked to make it so it was easy for us to get downtown. We didn't need a lot. We needed a zoning change, and certainly a little bit of help in getting started up here. Some flexibility. They put up with about 10 months of construction here. But overall, it's been wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, to me, bringing something back like this, I mean, that can only lead to more.
Yeah, I think that's the hope. We can, hopefully be a bit of a draw for people to come into town, and I think they see that and would like to.
Because there's a lot of really nice buildings down there, given the proper care and bringing them back.
But this is the perfect building for this.
Yeah.
When I saw it was becoming a distillery, I was like, that's genius. All that space.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else could it have been?
Yeah, brewery, I guess. That's it. Yeah, there aren't too many distilleries, juxtaposed to churches in the country. So there's some unique.
Except for the church basement.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. No, we fortunately, we have great neighbors, and well before we, signed on the dotted line, we reached out to those folks and made sure that people around us weren't going to have any issues with us running the business we want to run here. So, and it's been great. The town's been great. The town people have been just incredibly warm, receptive, supportive. Even when we poke fun at small town lore, celebrate our Candy Matty Gin. We're poking fun at small town stories here, tongue in cheek, having fun, and didn't know how the town was going to react to this label, Town Folk. And they love it. They embrace it. So
yeah, the town's pretty cool that way. I mean, it's filled with good people. It's an eclectic group of people, but they're all on the same level.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you get when, especially this part of the state that's kind of in flux with, more people moving down this way and areas around it growing up and that kind of thing. So.
Yep.
Let's see. Do you have any other specific questions? I mean, I was thinking we were talking about gin and dry gin and stuff on the way down, and what that terminology actually meant, like between something being dry and the opposite of sweet. And so I mean, does that pertain to anything?
Oh, sure.
Is your gin particularly dry, or how does that come into the process?
Well, so. Roughly, there's about 6 different types of gin. And most people only know one type, London dry style gin. Right. And that dry really does mean that there's no sweetness to it. We don't add sugar to our gin, so it's technically a dry gin, as compared to like something called an Old Tom gin or a Genever, things that might have some more sweetness to them. So technically our gin is a dry gin, but it's not London dry gin. We make what's called an American style or a Western style gin. What that really means is that instead of juniper being the predominant character of it, it is kind of pushed to the back a little bit, and then we highlight other botanicals. So some of those things that we're getting locally, lavender, orris root, sweet goldenrod, which is Delaware's state herb. We're probably the only one ones in the country are making gin with sweet
Wow.
goldenrod. So we kind of highlight some of those other flavors as part of it, rather than really just that the heavy juniper flavor that I think.
So yours is really unique then. If
Yeah.
no one else is doing it.
Yeah, that's our hope. That's our hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the response to the gin is fantastic because most people, they're like, I don't know, I had this one night, I don't drink gin.
That was me. I said I tried it before. I wasn't a fan of it, and I just never went back. I've had it in mixed drinks, of course,
Yeah.
but you don't get the.
Sure, yeah.
Sure, but-
We get more people who come in here and like, no, I don't drink gin. Well, just try it, you don't have to drink it, just smell it and all this, and they walk out with a bottle of gin.
Yeah.
Because I think that people are expecting one thing, and then they realize that there's a lot more to it. And gin's a really cool place to be creative and do some stuff. We've got some barrels in the back of gin that we're barrel aging. Can't call it barrel aged
Right.
gin, but it is sitting in a barrel in the
Whiskey
back.
thing again.
Yeah.
Can't even say it's resting in the barrel. That's what it's doing.
It's in a barrel.
It's
That's all
resting.
it's doing.
But we
No, it's not even
can't,
resting.
we can't even say that.
Can't say it's in the barrel?
We can't say it's in the barrel.
It's got no address.
That's our
Yeah, absolutely.
Phantom liquor.
I
It
just
is
went
being
around
stored,
the
and there
government.
are barrels in the same space.
They don't want
close
us to be
proximity to-
misleading to the customer, to the potential consumer, but we can't say how we finished the gin. And
Is that by law?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's odd.
There's a lot of interesting, weird laws like that. And I kind of want to get your feel on. We had a story came up about the Kentucky whiskey companies wanting to make it so for it to be called Kentucky
Kentucky
whiskey
version,
or Tennessee whiskey,
yeah.
it had to be from those particular locations.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that?
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, see, that was my take too.
Yeah, there's it's
Well, just think about bourbon.
Oh yeah,
I mean, everybody assumes that in order to call something bourbon, it's got to come from where?
Kentucky.
That's what people think,
Right.
but that's not true.
Could be made anywhere in the
It's
United
a
States.
style.
Champagne.
Yeah. So
Somewhat.
I mean, a lot of this really comes from wine and like the protectionism that France and then some other countries
Yeah, the
really put
EU
on
puts
their
all
wine.
those
Yeah.
particular labels on.
And so then you see it in Scotch whiskey and Irish whiskey and Canadian whiskey. Now, I mean, you think about those three types of spirit. They can be very, very different. You can look at two different Scotches. They're both called Scotch, and they can be worlds apart from each other, but they can be called Scotch because they're made in Scotland.
Right.
The same with Canadian whiskey. So in the United States, we are not kind of lumping things together based on location as much, but more by the production process. So bourbon, from the side of the government, is a process.
Right.
If you follow that process, it can be called bourbon. The same thing with rye whiskey, the same thing with gin, the same thing with vodka. So it's a process standpoint.
Right.
Which
It's more of a style. than
yeah,
it is.
and I think that is, I would rather have that set of things to deal with than be limited what I can make based on my location.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even using the same components in a different location, you're going to have a similar process and you're going to end up with a similar result, even though it's a different
Yep.
Well, they even
spot,
got more particular now where they changed the law in Kentucky where it doesn't have to be processed through a charred barrel.
Oh, that's Tennessee where you're.
Or Tennessee, I'm sorry. Okay, and they're kicking a fit about that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's,
And related to that is actually the kind of this rise in craft distilling that we see, that kind of gives birth to our business here. And we're seeing, distillers like ourselves kind of push those boundaries, push those limits as we test, new ideas and product innovation to bring forth novel products for people. And it pushes those boundaries, and it's challenged the federal government to keep up with its limited resources.
I mean, it's all kind of silly anyway, because honestly, I don't care what it's called, where it was made. If it tastes good,
Right.
then I want it. You can, I don't care what you call it. It's if you make a good product, it's going to sell.
Yeah.
And I think they're afraid, these beer companies are afraid that you are going to make a better product, and people are going to flock to you, and then it's going to hurt them.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, to me, your point exactly. It limits the evolution of what these products can be. I mean, if you box it all into a corner, you're never going to get anything but that.
Yep.
You're never going to see anything new. And what are we
have
doing?
you have you been talking about this plaquicol?
Yes.
So
Yep, that came
alcohol,
up
we
too.
did a story on that 2 days ago, and the government shut that down.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they
Well-
approved the labels in error.
Right.
Oh, is that what it
It
was?
was the quantity of the
Okay.
bags
Yeah,
were
yeah.
different than what they were.
That may seem like how could they make they make errors all the time. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they make errors with our stuff. We just had a label approved, and we caught the error after the label was approved. We'll change it on our end. It's not a big deal. But, errors are made. I mean, the agency of the government, the arm of the Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau that overproves our formulas and our labels, they're grossly understaffed. You could even make an argument because of the sequestration that happened and the consolidation that happened within their group. The folks that are doing a lot of this are untrained. So they used to have prior to this consolidation in this organization, they used to have specialists in spirits, specialists in wine, specialists in beer for label approval. No longer. Everybody's doing everything. So you have, one person now is charged with doing beer, wine, and spirits. And then there's, just this growth in beer, growth in craft spirits, and then all these labels are coming in.
Yeah.
And you have to get these all out in a timely fashion, otherwise you're really stifling.
I mean, this was an era where they went on to announce release dates, and they were all excited about it. Except for your bars and your venues.
Yeah, except for everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody with reasonable taste.
And they had to thicken it because kids were snorting it. And so they thickened it to the point where it takes a half cup of the powder to equal one drink. So they're hoping the pain isn't worth the gain. But
I guarantee somebody will.
Well, I don't necessarily. I don't know enough about it to say whether or not I support that, but I support the innovation. I support the development.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily a new technology. I don't know.
It's been around since the 60s.
I don't know what they're specifically doing because they're apparently applying for a patent, meaning they've made some sort of innovation off of what's known. So we'll see, but that alone, that innovation, who knows where it could push the industry.
Yeah, exactly. And I was interested in the way that would connect to, the molecular gastronomy movement, and what would that do for recipes coming out of that too.
Oh, sure.
There's plenty of people that want to play with, everyday things, and see what comes out.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
nothing else, long-term space missions. We get guys and girls going to Mars here. They might want to drink.
Something.
I know I would. I'm not going to Mars without a drink. I'll tell you that much.
Gee, I didn't even think about that.
3 years in a tiny capsule.
Hey, that's right.
Wow.
Got to be able to take your spirits on board, and all that liquid is
Sure.
in a lot of weight.
And you can take enough with you. You're going to be there the rest of your life. So however long that's going to be.
Man.
I'm going out like that. Down in some powder.
So we're not coming back, boys. Time to party.
It is.
All those science things we were supposed to be doing. Man.
About how much liquor do you guys produce?
It's,
Yeah.
we
Is it
produce
measurable?
right now on a kind of needed demand.
Yeah.
We're just now growing our demand, so it's really tough to say. What we tend to tell people is we have the capacity with the current equipment, current setup, to do 10,000 cases annually.
Wow.
If we do,
There's a lot.
running,
that is a lot.
running, and that would be just more than Mike and I here making all that. We would certainly, if that's the problem we had, we would certainly have a small team of people because we'd essentially have to work pretty much around the clock to make that happen.
So it's just the two of you?
It's just the two of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So-
That's got to be a fun job.
It's fun. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work,
but we dust, we clean the floors, toilets, we keep the place looking ship-shape, and make the alcohol. We do a lot of label design concepts. We write all the copies, copy on the back of the labels.
So this is all you guys?
These are our stories,
All
our
this.
concepts. We work with some wonderful end producers and artists to clean it all up to make it look as you see. But yeah, we have our hands in all of it. It's a lot. It's a lot. And actually, we just started becoming salespeople. So outside of here, we're starting to make sales calls. Visit accounts that have our products on the shelves, and those that don't, we willing to pour tastings and offer samples and talk about our products, or even come and help promote. So it's a lot of work, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Wear a lot of different hats. It's a lot of different challenges day to day.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
How far out do you go? Like, who carries your stuff now?
From Fenwick Island up to Claymont. So we're all over the state at the moment. Just within Delaware.
Yeah, just within Delaware. Our launch strategy and our initial strategy is to really grow our home base. We really want to have a nice, solid support here.
Spread the word, and then when people move, it's like, hey, we don't have that now. We have to have that up there.
Yeah. We want a solid base, and then we'll start to branch out. We have interest. I have friends, family, investors in Colorado, California, Seattle. They've all tasted product. They would love to be able to have it there. I have friends in New York with some connections to liquor stores that are interested. So,
and then we get lots of people in from Baltimore, DC, Philadelphia, who, so I think the strategy will be get really well here in Delaware, and then try and be strategic and kind of start to get out into some of the markets where we think products like ours would be accepted and kind of embraced.
That's the other good thing. I mean, it's a great destination. You've got a great space here.
We hope.
That's fantastic.
We hope to have created a destination distillery. We want people to come in. When they go down to the beach for vacations, or when they traveling through Delaware for other tourism options. Or in the region. This is on the map. So,
you got to do like south of the border. Put a billboard every mile.
Getting closer. Oh no, you passed it. Turn around.
Making a turn.
Yeah. It's I don't know if our billboard budget quite stacks up just yet, but
you'll get there.
Someday,
you'll get there.
And if we had fireworks, I bet you would.
Fireworks too.
You have to work on changing that one.
Exactly.
Fireworks and liquor.
And fireworks. What could go wrong?
Nothing. This guy has some experience with fireworks. He's not bad. He's not bad.
Did you have to go check?
I probably once I go back and I start working on it, I have to keep an eye on it for a little bit. So,
all right, where are we? Any other big ones?
I haven't started cooling, so I'm just.
I think we're good. I like what we have. I think that's perfect.
Turn off